back to the video. So this is basically going to be a simple video today. I'm going to be explaining 5 reasons why I really love Shadowverse EVOLVE and why it is one of my favorite trading card games. So to start off over here, I would like to start with the first point, which is simplicity overall. I personally think that Shadowverse EVOLVE is honestly more simpler than Rebirth for You. That may be a thorough hot take to go start off the video, but I personally think that, and the main use of this is because of simplicity of abilities. So for example, if we go over here and basically pick, like, I'd say like a cost 2 card from Forcecraft. For example, you can go take a look over here with Fairy Whisperer, which is basically fanfare, which means play down, to summon a fairy and put a fairy into EX area. A lot of these cards within Shadowverse EVOLVE basically have a lot of simplified abilities compared to stuff games like White Shores or even Card 5 Vanguard, which have a lot of main stacking abilities through. And pretty much the great thing too about the simplicity of the game is that it's pretty easy to follow, even if there's some potential duplicates of text. A lot of stuff could have stuff including Rush or extra Evolve. Those are pretty much overall fine because it just gives you thoroughly the straight up ability. That's something that I really like within a trading card game, is the simplicity of text. It doesn't have to go ramble on and just pretty much get straight to the point. That's been one reason why I enjoy Shadowverse EVOLVE. Another thing that I like about Shadowverse EVOLVE is also determined in class is the main uniqueness of this. This definitely showcases the recognition of each classes. Stuff like here, like Elf and stuff like Royal can definitely show the main difference within the styles of each. It really feels like that nice world feel that I enjoyed with Card 5 Vanguards, for example. So that's something that's greatly implemented within here. It's easy to recognize a lot of the different classes throughout. So throughout all the classes, it's pretty nice to go see that main uniqueness and see the overall simplicity too as well. The only other one that's pretty much a difference though is Neutral, but Neutral also does follow pretty much a thorough formula overall with some of these pieces, and I think that it's just very nice that these usually go slot into similar looking type archetypes. For example, if it's like looks similar to a witch, it usually go into witch and goes into runecraft. So that's a great example of some utilization. The next thing I would like to explain for the third point would be the respect to the old game. Now, this is a different point that is very interesting to me as someone who's mostly grown up within the Bushiroad landscape of games, but I would say that I think that Psy Games and Bushiroad do a very good job with making sure a lot of these main cards are pretty much similar. Main difference would be a few revised cards. For example, over here with Dimension Shift, because there's no use of spell boost, instead they decided to go try to do something that goes more towards the TCG, and I think that that's very nice for them to definitely add. I think also the main thing too as well is that they really want this to be a heavy side games focused. So one thing about Bushiroad is that Bushiroad kind of likes to do a little bit of some of this wonky sort of niche stuff in terms of some of their card games. I think what basically it comes down to was more so side games basically is breathing down Bushiroad's neck and not wanting to go so extreme or so crazy overall. So I think that this is one example of how they get a lot more simplistic stuff too as well in their card games, and they're not doing something completely outlandish, which I really enjoy from the game as a player myself. The next thing I would like to also explain, which is another favorite, my fourth reason, is the focus on the competitive scene. Now, this was something I was really interested in ever since Shadowverse EVOLVE got their first ever presentation. What they helped do is help structure stuff within WGP and Shadowverse qualifying, and they pretty much have a main structured circuit. I think that this is very great for the scene. There's a lot of thorough potential. I would say I pretty much a little bit disagree about the main timing, but I also see the reason why, because Shadowverse EVOLVE is a pretty much thorough fast game, and I think that it's sort of makes sense overall, but there's a lot of great potential to begin with. I think that's the main simplistic style of a BO1. Could also throw into a BO3, but that's probably a video for another time. A lot of different thorough examples like adding a sideboard, but I'm going to try to hopefully get another video maybe within the next few weeks to try and clarify a bit about the competitive scene. But it's very great that they have a thorough structure involved, and they're getting a lot of people to help play in the game, which is really nice. Another thing too I like about the competitive scene is also the uniqueness of how they implement their streams, and something that I wish other Bushiroad games utilized, honestly, is the perspective viewing. You get a lot of these main screenshots that I like, where they get to show the hand for a brief amount of time. It's very great to see some players' perspective and more of easily guessing to what's potentially a plan here if they get stuck with a hand. It's kind of unfortunately hard to go figure out if they have a specific hand or not without basically having two specific perspectives of watching. So I think that this is a very great utilization for the competitive scene, and I really hope they put more into practice in this in future tournaments. The last thing I would like to go explain of why I think that Shadowverse EVOLVE is my favorite card game out of everything is mainly the definition of playstyle. So if you look at the field over here, I think that it's very great to show that some of the main decks or classes are going to be mainly diverse, and a lot of them do not follow pretty much like the same strength, so it also gives this nice flexibility part within also just deck building. I think the main definition of playstyles, as you heard, aggro, turbo, or actually aggro. When you think about different playstyles, you think of such stuff as aggro, tempo, combo. There's a lot of different pieces. Like you can go take a look at Swordcraft, who looks like to play potentially heavier push, or Nightmare, who plays pretty much a lot of aggressive overall. And you also look at stuff like Forestcraft, which helps give a lot of the combo aspect, but also a lot of these can have some mix and play in styles, which is very great. Main also great example is Una Musume. Great thing about Una Musume is that it has different distinct styles, and I really like that within a card game rather than some other card games more focusing not much on playstyle but more of this stuff just overall works and you just go get along with it, and some talking about pacing. That's what's something that's missing in a lot of different card games. I would say this is more closer to, if you're going to compare a Bushiroad game to Card Fight Vanguard, which has a lot more distinctive play styles, and I'm glad that they merged this into trying to implement as much styles as possible. So, what's a great thing too about this is that if you take a look at my saved object over here, I have pretty much built a deck for every single class over here. So a lot of these are very great examples for me trying out different play styles, me trying to see what works and what doesn't work, and I highly recommend to go definitely check those out. Those are basically the main 5 reasons why I recommend Shadowverse EVOLVE and why it's my personal favorite. Let me know what you all think down in the comments below if you want to try to get more into the game. I recommend checking out the Shadowverse EVOLVE Discord. I post a lot of stuff like decks, winning decks in there, which also more determinant with play styles and such of that nature. I love doing a lot of research on this game. I also recommend checking out this tabletop simulator mod. Search up Shadowverse EVOLVE. This is made by Jasmine from the Shadowverse EVOLVE Discord server. I definitely recommend checking this out. I'll have that in the description down below too as well. Thank you all for joining in on this pretty short video of reasons why I love Shadowverse EVOLVE. And hopefully you guys go also put down your reasons why you like Shadowverse EVOLVE yourself. Also, for other future Shadowverse EVOLVE content, feel free to give me suggestions down in the comment section below, and I'll definitely take those into account. Other than that, continue to embrace the darkness, and we will see you all in the next video.